We handle certain items that are properly before us, such as special use permits and variances. See, minutes of the last meeting, which was September 8th of 2022. You've received those minutes in your packet. Do I have any additions or corrections?
No.
If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So
I
moved.
would, I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. The first item on the agenda is case 22077. It's 1591 Grant Street. It's a C2 district. It's a special use permit to allow an outdoor service area with alcohol submitted by ELD Holdings LLC and Michael McDewitt. I'm sorry, forgot. Staff report.
Thank you, Chairman. Case 22-0077. So this is 1591 Grant Street. Request for a special use permit for an outdoor service area with alcohol. This is located right next door. There's multiple units in this building. This unit is located at the very end. The patio has been built. The unit is still being, from my knowledge, fitted out. It's not open yet for business. It's the future location of Yoso Japanese Steakhouse. This area is in our downtown overlay district and also is zoned C2, Community Commercial District. So restaurants are permitted in this area as our outdoor service areas. Surrounding zoning is commercial as well, C3, all the surrounding areas, or C2. So this is the floor plan submitted, construction plans and the floor plan. The interior wall, or the outdoor wall, is right here. So everything to the right of that line is outdoor. There is a pergola that there's some cover for that outdoor service area. The restaurant would be serving alcohol, dinner outside. This type of development is encouraged in our downtown area. It's also next to other businesses which have the similar amenities and special use permits have been approved in the past for these areas. Staff contends any potential negative externalities or incompatibilities with surrounding uses don't meet the threshold for denial of the special use permit. Staff has also not received any public comment as of this date. Another rendering, you can see the cover I mentioned, some of the in the outdoor service area. So the parking lot, there is parking on the other side of the outdoor service of the patio. Over here is the south facing part of the building, just faces the river, well, another building, then the river. And then you have the north facing area. So the zoning code has special use permit standards. These 9 standards were analyzed for this special use permit request. The special use permit request met all of these standards. Thus, staff recommends approval of the special use permit for an outdoor service area with alcohol. I can take any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this application? Seeing and hearing none. Anybody wish to speak opposed to it? Again, I see and hear none. What's your pleasure? Someone want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve case 22-077, 1591 Grant Street, to be allowed the special permit for an outdoor service area with alcohol.
Second. Second. Okay. Roll call, please.
Gallagher,
Yes.
Tansey,
Yes.
Tombergs,
Yes.
Vermillion.
Yes. The second matter to come, that's approved, and so it moves on. The second matter that's come before us is case 22079. It's 1820 Bellevue Avenue. It's an R2. It's in a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 to 17 feet to allow for the construction of an 8-foot by 16-foot deck. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman. As mentioned, case 22-079, 1820 Bellevue Street. So variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 to 17 feet. Subject property is highlighted in green on the map. The applicant is Savio Aguilar and Ramiro, which is Savio's father, who resides at 1820. The request is to build, currently there is no stoop existing at the residence. There was a concrete stoop with 5 rises, so 5 stairs that fell in disrepair, so there's something needs to be done. The house, to note, was built in 1939, so this is an older neighborhood of Bettendorf. The subdivision goes back, I believe, to 1919. So they're actually pretty small lots. This lot is 2 lots combined, so it does have extra room width, but the house is situated at the setback line, the present setback line for the R2 single-family residence district. That concrete stoop previously was 4 feet by 4 feet. Concrete stoops are not permitted as far as they do not require a permit. We do require permits for decks, so this is why this is coming before us. You can, presently in Bettendorf, you can install your own concrete as you may, as long as it's 3 feet or less, I believe. Then it requires a permit, so walls, etc. Are not considered structures otherwise. Shown here, the zoning, the whole area is zoned R2. There are, and looking at the surrounding properties, I would say it's a 60-40 as far as whether they're conforming or not to the present standard of 25 feet. The houses were all built before, I believe before we had an adopted zoning ordinance in the city of Bettendorf. They are all between 20 and 25 feet around there, if not set back further. There's a few cases of some encroachments, but not next door, not on the actual north side of Bellevue Avenue. As you can see, the line is pretty consistent. Here's a site photo, actually Google photo, with the stoop existing, kind of give you an idea of how tall the door is, the front door. That stoop is not there right now, so there's a code issue. They need access to the front door. So a variance is required. Nevertheless, it's how much that should be. The applicant is requesting 8 feet, so 8 feet deep, and then he proposed 16 feet wide, but I think he was not set on that width. And really what's at before you is the depth of that and the encroachment, but certainly the width can be considered as part of granting the variance. Per building code, a minimum 3 feet by 3 feet or 36 inches by 36 inch landing is required outside of a front door in this situation. Prior, it was a 4 foot by 4 foot. Staff contends an 8 foot deck, it'd be 8 by 16 or even 8 by 8, would encroach into the front yard and would not be consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and staff can't support a deck of this size. I will note the applicant, other than citing he needs a stoop or a deck, he kind of wanted more to enjoy the front yard, his front porch, mind you, similar to what the neighbor has to the west, but their house is situated and set back just enough so they have that front porch to enjoy. Given that, I guess we did have, actually I should note, we had one public comment received on this request. A neighbor called and they'd received a notice. The neighbor cited the age of the houses in the neighborhood and stated her opinion that it would, let him build it, adding this deck would improve the character of the house and then thus the neighborhood. Other than that, no other comment was received. And given the facts and the findings, staff recommends amending the applicant's request, approving a variance, but of only 4 feet. So that would be consistent with what the stoop was previously. So it'd be a 21-foot, approving a 21-foot front yard setback in lieu of the 25-foot required by the R2 zoning district as prescribed in code. This would still allow the applicant to construct a front porch per se. This doesn't dictate how wide that porch is. That would be up to the applicant. So there's options there. Unless the board has other suggestions, they could make it as wide as the house. There's options, but 4 feet staff deems sufficient for the purposes in this situation. And that would be 4 feet. In addition, there would be then stairs as well, so that we're not considering the addition encroachment of the stairs. I can take any questions.
So they would come out 4 feet and then there'd be
Yeah.
3 foot of stairs.
Be 3.
Oh, it's 5 rise.
I don't know what the
whatever.
depth of those stairs would be. 7 inches, I believe each. Yeah.
Anyhow,
So
there'd be another
Plenty of room
foot
in
or
the
two.
backyard.
yeah. Railing as well. Yeah.
Did you discuss that with the applicant at all?
I did. This option was given. In fact, I believe, given the staff's contention of that the previous stoop would probably give kind of almost grandfather, allow us to permit the building of a deck in replacement of that stoop of 4 feet. But the staff wanted to apply to see if he could get an 8-foot deep deck. And I believe not just, he wanted to have it look like the neighbor's deck, but also he's the taller individual. He could have like longer chairs on the porch. 4 feet's a little tight. So that was one consideration he cited as our reason for a deeper deck.
Okay. And just for my own clarification, you said that the stoop didn't require a special use permit. That's allowed without a permit. Could, in theory, they build an 8 by 16-foot stoop there?
So
Given the height of this, that actually might not be.
A lot of concrete.
Well, this is a pretty tall. I can go back to that picture.
I don't think it's practical. I'm just saying, in theory, would that be?
I believe this would have to. I believe this would be over 3 feet tall, so they might be getting into an engineered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plat work does not require a construction permit or a building permit in the city of Bettendorf. When you build vertical at 3 feet or above, once you reach that height, it becomes a wall, and then it does require a construction permit. So
Okay. But if it
simply
was 3
plat
feet or
work,
below, though, he could conceivably do that.
could.
Or he could build an 8 by 16-foot patio and
Yes.
steps down to it and enjoy
Correct.
a patio if
Yeah.
he wanted
So
to.
if it was 3 feet and then it had steps down to it,
Yeah.
probably a step or two down to it, based on looks like it's
Right.
4 or 5 feet up from the ground, to the front door. Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
Is there a door out the back of this house?
I do not know, but I would assume so. Yeah.
It's pretty close to the back. I mean, there's not much backyard.
Yeah, I believe there's a door over here that leads to the outside into the garage.
Whatever they propose will have to go back through for a building permit?
Yes.
Yes. This would be a deck, so a deck is
They'd have to get
reviewed.
together some plans and
Correct. Yep. So this is just the start of, once we get the dimensions, then he can get the spans, and that would be reviewed by our building department and building inspectors.
Okay. Again, anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor or opposed to this? I see no one in the audience, so I assume not.
would you repeat what your recommendations are?
So staff's recommendation is to this house is at the setback line, so thus it needs a variance to create something. In fact, even with, I'm guessing that most stoops would be a flat landing and would require us a permit then as well. But we would contend that 4 feet, which is actually 1 foot over the minimum required by building code, should be requested or the application should be amended for 4 feet. So it'd be 21 feet in lieu of the 20 feet. He's requesting 17 feet.
So the structure that will be built will be 4 foot in depth
From the house.
from the house. It'll project out 4 feet from the house. That's a foot bigger than you need to build a landing by code. A landing needs to be 36 inches. This would be 48 inches, square inches. And then you would have, we would consider that the encroachment, and then we would allow the stairs as ancillary to that, not really encroachment, but if you're gonna build it, you gotta have a way to get onto it. So that's how we would do that. Alternately, he could turn his stairs to either side, but if he's trying to create some type of porch, he probably wants to
Yeah.
reserve that area for his stairs, so we would allow the access point to be also within the encroached area.
Would he be open to 5 feet instead of 4, or just to make it a little more livable kind of a thing? Or you think it's much more, the desire is much deeper than that?
I think from speaking with the applicant, and this was talked about, I'm like, why do you need 8 feet versus 4 feet? And as I mentioned, he mentioned like putting lounge chairs out there versus having a normal stand-up chair. So that was one comment. I think just more space, yeah.
Somebody's here.
Maybe that's the applicant.
I got lost, I'm sorry.
It's all right, no problem.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Well, now, so that's my comments.
Okay.
I believe the applicant
You,
is here,
yeah,
so you
state
can
your
direct any
name.
questions.
Romero Aguilar?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Does he need to go to the podium to be heard?
yeah, I
To
think,
be recorded?
why don't you go back, I hate to do this to you, but you go to the back of the bus here, back to the podium back there, because then you'll have a microphone.
Oh, okay.
And we just went over the staff report and comments. I think you've received that already, but my quick summary.
I can review it really quick too if
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, all right, why don't you go ahead, rather than me review it, why don't you review it quick?
Okay. So the request is for a 8-foot deep deck, which would encroach into the 8 feet encroachment into the 25-foot yard, 25-foot front yard setback. Currently, the house is at the 25-foot setback line, so some type of variance is required to build a stoop. Historically, there was a 4-foot by 4-foot concrete stoop that is no longer there. The zoning for this area is R2, and the zoning dictates the setbacks in this area and for the city. So all other houses have to stick to these, abide by these 25-foot front yard standards. The picture of the house, this is with the stoop, so it's a historical image. The building code only requires 3 feet by 3 feet for a front landing. The previous concrete stoop was 4 feet by 4 feet. And then the applicant is requesting an 8 feet deep. Staff feels, given the relation to the other setbacks of the structures or buildings on the houses on this street, that 8 feet would not be consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and staff can't support a deck of that depth. So staff is recommending to amend the variance request or approval to 4 feet. So this would allow a 4-foot deep deck of varying width. It could be the width of the house, or it could be 4 by 4 like the stoop was. It's up to the applicant. And staff feels this would still allow the applicant to have a front porch, and the stairs would not count against that encroachment as mentioned. They could be front loaded, or they could even be side loaded, I guess. And staff does contend there is a hardship for this 4 foot to approve this 4-foot variance. And then the only other thing would be, there was one comment received, public comment from a neighbor that was in favor of of the request. The neighbor cited that the age of the houses in the neighborhood, some of the, basically the ages, some additions would improve the character, and building of a deck would then improve the character of this house in the area.
Just to kind of put a little bow on that, so in theory, done this a lot now, in theory, 4 foot with front-loaded stairs would be the same amount of encroachment the applicant had originally, so they're not losing anything, and we don't think they should lose anything. And then the length of that along the frontage of the house could be built as long as it meets code to whatever
The length, yeah.
the applicant wanted.
Okay. Do you have anything you would like to add or to us, the discussion?
Yes, sir. Never been anything like this, so, if I'm correct, what I requested isn't in favor right now, is that correct?
That's correct. That the staff has recommended a 4-foot wide porch or whatever, deck. And you, I think, requested an 8-foot, so it's about half as much as what you requested.
Yes, sir. The reason being, myself and my wife, we plan on making this our forever home. And I feel it would add character to the house, value, very nice neighborhood. We have a large family, 9 grandbabies, 3 sons, 3 daughter-in-laws, and they come over quite often. We enjoy being outside. And it's funny, right before I came here, as you could see in the picture, I see my neighbor, and she also told me that she was called or sent a letter on this issue. Her name is Carrie, I forget her last name. She also informed me that she was issued a variance. She has a full railed-in deck with a roof over it. And it's right there in the picture. You can see it to the left of my house. And I understand what the original 4x4, which I have other paperwork that says 4x5, but yeah, it would greatly benefit my family to have an 8-foot deep deck so we could enjoy the outside, and I feel like it make the house and the neighborhood even look better also.
Just the principal difference between your house and the house next door is the fact that it sets a little further back from the street than yours does, and that enables her to have a little bit bigger deck. But, I mean, that's the concept of it anyway.
So to Rocky's point about the 5-foot, is that a consideration?
I don't know if you were here or not. Before you came, there was some discussion about the 4-foot versus the 8-foot and whether, and there was a comment by one of the members that would a 5-foot deck be a compromise that would work? It would, and so, and there's no buy-in from the city on that. That was just something that was said, and whether or not you had been advised of that possibility or whether or not you would have considered it. And obviously you weren't here at the time, so you didn't have an opportunity to consider it. But that was a suggestion.
Even though your suggestion is appreciated, again, like I said, we could have moved anywhere. and we picked Bettendorf. We did our research and everything. And like I said, we got a large family, not planning on going anywhere. We really want to fix up the house and curve appeal and it supporting our large family. I just strongly believe if we're going to make this our forever home, that it would not only benefit us, but benefit the community as far as value and curve appeal. So I guess I'm strongly asking for there to be reconsideration, and because I did the measurements myself, and there's like 28 feet from the face of my house out to the curve of the street. There still be a good 17 to 20 feet, give or take, from the end of the depth of the deck to the curve of the street.
Is that where the measurement starts?
The lot line is as shown, so it's often confused, but the actual setback starts at the lot line, not the curb of the street, so you have your right of way. And the aerial could be shifted, I guess is the word, a little bit, so it's not totally accurate, give or take a few feet. But the measurement is 25 right now, so 17 feet is what would be 8 feet to the lot line, and then that grass area is city right-of-way right here. With the 5-foot suggestion, I guess I will add this note. If there's a 5-foot deck and you have a 3-foot door, with that door being open, there does leave a path 2 feet around the door to freely go about the deck. Staff would not contend, I guess, that a 4 to 5 feet would be noticeable, but I can't cite anything else than that.
Are you considering any kind of a roof or a structure above this?
I'm not a wealthy man, so that would be in the future. And the deck would be made to support that addition in the future.
Okay.
If it was granted to us. And like what was just said, there'd be a 2-foot clearance with the door being open. And with all due respect, I'm 54 inches in the shoulder, so if I turned sideways, I wouldn't even be able to get in between the door and the railing of the deck. And I'm probably a little smaller than all 2 of my sons. I do understand what everybody is saying here, but this isn't a fly-by-night deal for me and my family. We're keeping in mind everything we're doing to the house, time, not wasting money, and keeping the vision of the additional stuff we want to do in the future. And to be honest, to put a 4-foot deck on the plans we have, of course, staying and checking with the city and make sure what we could do and what we can't do, it's almost a waste of time and money to go with a 4-foot, knowing that we got grandchildren ranging from the age of 2 to 11 years old, and they love coming to grandma and grandpa's house.
Now, the structure you wanted to put on would be, how far, it would be all the way across the front of this house?
No, ma'am, because if you look at the house, all the way to the left side of the house,
Yes,
there is I believe an electric meter.
okay,
So of course I wouldn't block that. So what would happen is, I would say 70–80% of the front of the house,
okay.
with going center outward to the left and the right. And just so there is understanding, and I have spoke to Taylor about it too in the past, we would like later on to put in a door, maybe a double door with side lights, dead in the center of the house to make it look better and more accessible.
Okay.
Our house is unique. I think one of the few in the area, as far as comparisons go. We do set on a double lot.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that really attracted us, and it being in Bettendorf. And the house has a lot of potential. Late 30 construction. They did the best they could do. I know how to do everything except for electrical work. And amazingly, foundation is strong. Everything's plumb. Construction wasn't the greatest, but you know, like I said, me and my family have a vision for the home. But if one thing can't be done that leads to another, to another, to another, it's almost a waste of time and money to continue down this avenue. I mean, we want to be happy and have something to be the way we want it, the way we're comfortable with. We're not trying to get favoritism or special treatment or anything, but I feel in allowing me and my family to do this to this house, I feel it will spark more in the neighborhood for people to say, hey, why don't we put on some new siding? Why don't we do a new porch? Why don't we take better care of our lawn? I mean, that's also part of our vision. We just don't look out for ourselves. We want the neighborhood, which I got to know quite a bit of my neighbors. And I talked to them and I asked them, would that be an issue? I read the literature on code enforcement. There's a concern with blocking neighbors' vision, sunlight, being in the way of power lines, this and that. This would not do that whatsoever. And even my neighbors said, let them do it. You know, she don't have an issue with it. And actually she's, from my understanding, I may be wrong, but what I've been told from the neighbors, she's the daughter of the man that built my house. And the house was the first house on the block, from my understanding.
Could be.
So they're very pleased to see that me and my wife has come in and want to renovate, build her back up, and actually plant root there. So I really don't know what else to say. This is all new to me, but I do appreciate the 5 feet offer, but to be honest, 4 feet, 5 feet, or 8 feet, I just personally feel it's not even worth the time and money. And with the way inflation and the price of material is, if we're gonna put that kind of money into the house, I strongly believe it should look the way we would like it to look. It wouldn't be makeshift, it'd be done right, it would meet code. And again, it'd be beneficial to my family and I feel like to the neighborhood and the community.
So I just want to make sure I understand. You don't want to have any compromise. It's just 8 foot or nothing. And I know.
I don't mean to come across that way, I
Well,
really
no, I just
don't.
want to make
have it.
sure because that needs to be clarified for us. Because, you know, we started with maybe 5 foot and you're saying no, 8 foot. Is there no compromise? Is it the 8 or nothing? Because that may sway our decision.
Yeah, and if I can jump in real quick before he answers that, because here's my problem with it.
Yes, sir.
I see your hardship, I appreciate you coming down here and telling us your case, and I think you're doing great, by the way. So don't worry about any of that. What we do here sets precedents for other people in the city. And so we have to make sure that we can defend whatever it is that we do here.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you that a 4-foot deck is fairly useless. 4 feet is just nothing. But encroaching 8 feet into the setback puts us in a bad position and anybody else who comes before us into the future. So I think we're all struggling with how do we find some kind of compromise that we can defend and not get hung with in the future, but still works for you and your family. And in my mind, I was thinking maybe 6 feet makes sense to come out because that gives you plenty of room there. You can extend it wide as you want to that electrical box, and that gives you a nice deck to hang out with. But coming out 8 feet into the setback is really hard for us to defend going forward. So back to Gwen's question, if there's any compromise in your mind or not, or if it's 8 feet or bust.
And we do appreciate that you have the forethought to have this plan to improve the front of the house. That's the best thing about why you're doing this.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I literally called off work today to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how important it is.
And we
And
do-
anybody
yeah.
that knows me will tell you, I don't call off work unless I can't get out of bed.
Yeah. So we appreciate the fact you want to improve the neighborhood and your house. So that, we do thank you for doing that, having that vision.
I have one further question.
May I ask, could I approach the screen? Would that be a problem?
No.
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead, please do.
And I do remember your question, and I will answer it. Like I said, I'm all new to this. And I guess I'm just not understanding. Taylor, you said the question is from this green line to the front of the house?
Correct.
Okay, so what is the measurement from the front of the house to this green line?
That was 25 feet.
25 feet. So if I come out 8 feet, okay, there will still be 18 feet.
17.
Yeah,
17 feet, I'm sorry.
that's all right.
So that's an issue?
The setback by code is 25 feet,
25.
right?
So your house is at that line. And now
I will say that this is a very old neighborhood, and zoning changes over time. We, I believe, had a 30-foot setback at one time for certain residential districts, and those were changed to 25 and 30. So we had R1, I believe, was at 30, they were 35, and then I think, so setbacks change. These lots have not changed over a century. So that's one consideration. But this house was built where it was, and it's at 25 feet, so it does need some type of encroachment, and that's what we're discussing here right now.
Taylor, could you pull up Near Map and try and find a fall picture that shows the location of the stoop when it was intact and the full encroachment the original stoop with stairs would have made? I'm thinking that was probably like 6 feet.
Yeah, the original stoop, when you walk out the front door, especially in the winter, you better know your surroundings.
Oh,
or
yeah.
You are going right on.
You're breaking a hip.
And I will note, staff doesn't, we don't do this, it's not practice to go to the site and take a measurement with tape. We believe in the on-site, I'm using aerials that have a accuracy of, with overlaid with lines of, I'd say 2 to 3 feet. So there's on-site measurements would trump the aerials.
So I would like to say, I didn't know about things like this.
Sure.
The original stoop was solid concrete.
Right.
And it would probably amaze you back in that time, the way they did things, there was hollow water pipes, railroad track spikes mixed into the concrete to hold it together.
Yeah,
Funny, that's funny.
I busted it up myself with a 60-pound sledgehammer.
Wow.
And only took it down halfway. The original stoop was like a concrete cat that came probably from here to the wall and about this far up.
4x4.
So when you came outside, you better know where you're at.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
And there's no railing.
The reason I busted it up, it was cracking, and my wife literally fell off it. Thank God she didn't get hurt. She came out, her toe went into a crack that's been developing for over a year. It got deep enough, it took her off her feet, and she fell towards the left from the front door. She didn't get hurt, thank God, but that was enough to prompt me to do what I did.
The deck would hurt, it would help nobody falling off of it.
So here's a couple,
oh, you got some pictures you want to show?
come on. There we go. As you can see, the aerial's very blurry. We're getting into the nitty gritty here. And I'll do one at, so I've got 6, and I'll do one at 8. And I will make that.
And I apologize for being late.
That's okay.
Okay.
I ended up at the port.
Oh,
I
Surprise.
was early there.
All right.
Just for what it's worth, board members, I think, you know, if you did 6 foot and he had front-loaded stairs, he's technically at 8 foot,
Right.
you know?
right.
So he's kind of getting the 8 foot.
Right.
If he, you know, wanted to do that, that would really basically be his request.
Right.
6 foot with front-loaded stairs, he's probably at 8 foot.
What do you mean front loaded?
Yes, sir. I mean, if you entered the stairs just straight on, like walking straight at them, as opposed to turn them to the side yard. So if your deck was 6 foot, and then you had stairs to walk straight into it from your walkway there, you'd probably have, you know, 2 or 3 risers, so it'd be about 2 or 3 feet additional to onto that 6 foot, which would be an 8 foot encroachment at that point.
And a 6 foot wide deck.
Deck.
And a 6 foot wide deck.
Now, am I correct that I'm allowed to take the deck as wide as I would wish on the front of the house?
Correct.
Within the setbacks of the side yard, whatever they
Correct.
are.
Yeah, I wouldn't block anything.
But yeah, to the house, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
With this lot being this wide, is there any possibility of having the front door exit onto a small part of the deck and then curve the large deck around the side yard, since this is a double lot?
Taylor, is there any way you could bring up the original picture of the house?
Sure.
So, with this being a house, each room, there are 3 rooms. Well,
Right along that side?
yes, the face of the house. Okay. These 2 rooms are now the living room, which the middle part was the original living room.
Sure.
So this whole part of the house right here, I don't know why they would do it, but was a enclosed, very well-made porch. So you would walk into the entry door, be on the porch,
Mudroom, yeah.
and then walk into another door to go into the living room, which I literally had to walk into the living room like this. That's how narrow the door is. I think it was like 28 inches or something. So our vision, our plan, why I wanted the 8-foot deck is because here's a house. Eventually, I want to put a double French entry door with side lights right here in the middle.
Yep.
And then have the deck come out to here and literally wrap around the house.
Yeah, and that you can do.
Yeah, you
Don't have the money to do that all at one time,
Sure.
Yeah,
but it can be done progressively.
Okay.
So, sir, Jim,
Yes.
to answer your question, I don't like to consider myself as uncompromising. But I won't lie, yeah, the 8-foot is something we really had our heart set on, because we know how beneficial it would be to the family and to us. So, I really don't know how to answer you. I don't want to say yes, it's 8 or nothing, and then, you know, or I don't want to say yes, and then, yeah, I'll take the compromise and, you know.
Do you
I
already,
mean, is it all or nothing for you guys, or is there a compromise?
do you already have a plan drawn out for the 8-foot? Do you already have
A
a,
makeshift on paper between me and my wife, notebook,
right,
protractor, you know.
Yeah, as I was just saying before, the problem for us is that, you know, if we go out, get over our skis beyond what we can justify between the prior porch or landing, stoop, and the stairs that stuck out beyond there, we can justify getting out so far, but 8 feet into the setback is hard for us to set a precedent for. Then everybody else in the city of Bettendorf can come to us and say, well, I need an 8-foot front yard setback to do something.
And why can't I, since 1820 has one?
Exactly.
right.
They don't have a
And-
setback.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that's
yeah,
what I'm saying, yes.
Perfect point.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. So that's makes it difficult for us going forward to do our job if we stray too far from what we can logically
So
do.
are you saying if I agree to 6, you'll grant it?
well, we'll come to the vote.
Yeah, we'll have to vote, but I would be inclined to support 6 feet. 8 feet, I'm not sure I can wrap my head around yet, but that's, I'm just
Like I
speaking for
initially
myself.
said, we're not just looking out for ourselves, we are looking out for the benefit of the neighborhood and the community.
Yep.
And by you saying what you said to me, am I gonna be happy with 6? No. Is it better than 4? Yes.
Exactly. Well,
So-
we're trying to get you,
trying
in my
to-
mind, is to get you something that's as workable as possible for you and as good for you, but still something that we can defend publicly.
Yes, sir. So that is 6 feet from the face of the house to the end of the deck?
Yeah.
That doesn't count the stairs, am I correct?
Correct. In this case, that's correct. And then you can go as wide as the house if you want to and even wrap it around.
You can even wrap it around that side.
Yeah.
Right.
You're talking here,
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
could go on that side, yeah.
And
now would that be a separate permit?
It would depend on you. If
You'd have-
if you're not ready to do that yet,
Yes.
No, it
just
shouldn't
get
be
it set
a,
up, then it would just be another permit
This is
the
just,
next time. We're
what's
just
decided
talking.
here is just the setback in the front yard.
right.
The next step, what it's approved here tonight, then you still have to get your building permit and that has to be reviewed. But that's just between you and the building department.
Building
But the
permit.
next,
I'm all new to this.
Sure,
My dad took me from the age of 10 and shoved me into carpentry and construction.
You're doing great.
that's,
You're doing
So,
fine.
He's dead and gone, but I never seen Dad get a permit for anything.
No,
We don't want to know that.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, you
He
gotta
didn't
get
live
a
in
permit
Bettendorf
for
or
your
work in
deck.
Bettendorf,
Yeah.
did he?
yeah.
He's from Northwest Indiana.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Out there, they don't care.
He didn't do that here. But,
Two
yeah,
things though,
I'm
that
all new to the procedure.
sure.
Sure,
Wrapping around the side wouldn't violate unless you made it really deep,
Really
the
deep.
side yard
do.
setback. So you should have no problem with any special uses as you go on to phase 2 there around the side. And
And
my
with the
second
double
point was,
lot, you should have way
Yeah.
big
Oh,
bunch of
this,
ground.
where you see the house, okay, the the yard on the side of the house, I believe maybe 1 to 3 feet actually wider than where the house is.
Yeah, right. You got
Right.
plenty of room there.
Right,
Yeah,
plenty of room there.
there's a lot of room there.
Yeah,
Our dogs love it, so.
Yeah.
So just a suggestion, an idea is the compromise of 6 feet, not 8, would perhaps be approved tonight. And then you could take that approval and back to your architect or, whoever's going to design how the deck is built to see if you like it. Doesn't mean you have to build it. It just means that we approve it. So, that's just an idea for you to see if you can design it to see what that 6 foot would look like. And then, you at least have the approval, perhaps, versus no approval.
Right.
Well, like I said initially, just not for us, although it may seem that way. And I really like what Jim said. We don't want to cause problems for the neighborhood or the community.
Appreciate
So,
that.
Bring that down.
even though it isn't what I would wish or want, I guess, Jim, yes,
Okay,
I will
Thank you.
compromise on 6 feet.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
okay.
Okay,
You want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion with regard to case 2207-9-1820 Bellevue Avenue, that we grant a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19 feet to allow for a construction of a 6-foot deep by however wide a house allows deck.
Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
I'll
Can we
second.
just clarify that?
Yes.
The stairs are then allowed
Stair,
additionally,
front load stairs are acceptable in that.
and they're not counted against the encroachment.
Correct. Thank you for the clarification.
We
Well,
add
my
that to the.
inspectors will be.
Yes.
That's included in the
Absolutely.
motion.
That is included in the motion.
Do I have a second?
appreciate that.
Somebody said,
I'll second.
okay. So I have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call vote.
Gallagher?
Yes,
Tansy?
Yes.
Tomberg?
Yes.
Vermillion?
yes,
okay. So that means you have permission to proceed with a 6-foot deck with a front load. If you decide not to build it, that's your, you don't have to build it, obviously, but you can certainly look at that and maybe wrap it around and maybe come up with something that's acceptable to you.
Before you
Yes, sir.
start building, we do need you to just make sure you get that building permit.
Yeah, I didn't want to mislead you. The next step is you gotta have a building permit for the deck.
Start
And
designing.
it shouldn't be a problem if it's designed so that it's gonna weather the
Meets
storm.
our-
I mean, honestly, my grown sons, they laughed at me. They're like, I go, what the heck is a permit? Why do I gotta get permission?
Well-
And, yeah, so,
Because you live in Bettendorf.
Yeah, well, you'd have to have permission in many cities, including
yeah,
Bettendorf.
many cities have this
I'm
same
learning.
same
I'm
thing.
Okay.
learning.
You're doing great.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Good, you did a nice job, nice presentation, and-
Right.
and thank you for coming.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and thank you for buying in Bettendorf and for the nice things that you said.
Yep.
Okay, do we have something else? Oh,
I
go ahead.
appreciate your compromise. Thank you.
Okay,
Bet.
thank you.
Our pleasure.
The next two items look like they've been deferred till next month.
Correct. We had 2 items on the agenda that have been pulled, deferred pending an update to a existing ordinance relative to downtown parking. So stay tuned.
All right?
I
Anything else?
did one item.
Okay.
I'll be quick. I know
That's all right.
be done quick. So we have a new communication manager, right? Engagement manager.
Engagement, manager of engagement.
So Angie Sharp,
What that means.
and she's been hard at work adding features to our website and getting creating tools that were relevant to this board. So on our website now, it's called Be in the Know. There's set up, you can subscribe to certain web pages, and you can select to be notified via text or email when those web pages are updated. So for instance, the Board of Adjustment agenda page. So we are now uploading our agenda as soon as possible. And then the staff report would be, and the packet is uploaded the Friday before the meeting, correct? So we're trying to get as more transparent and notify as much as possible. So that's one option. I have the steps before you. It's pretty simple. You go online, you click on the notification, the Be in the Know. There's also an Alert Iowa. Alert Iowa is a service the city and our neighboring cities subscribe to. We can send out, and you probably, if you're already subscribed, you get notifications for anything from road closures to emergency alerts or events going on in the city. And we can use this service as well for, say, when we have a case that might have garner a lot of attention, we can be, get the word out. And we're still doing what's prescribed by ordinance and law for our mailings to neighbors, which is 200 feet. But this allows us to kind of expand that and, get the what's on the agenda and get as much feedback and input on these cases, which is pretty important. So we have Alert Iowa and the subscription, which are all can be accessed for the Be in the Know on our webpage. There's also things shared, likely not from our planning, zoning, or Board of Adjustment on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Nextdoor, which is a neighbor app, and LinkedIn. She's sending out newsletters as well. I do not think we have a newsletter yet. Maybe sometime in the future. You can contact her or one of our staff for any questions, but this is an added feature that we'll be implementing. It is active, but we'll be sharing this, and then so as citizens and stakeholders come to our meetings, we can get the call so they can say, I wasn't notified, or I didn't know this was happening. And so we're trying to improve our process and just wanted to share that with the board.
This wasn't an either-or thing, they both exist.
Yes.
Oh yeah, these are all, so there's really multiple layers of features here,
Right.
yeah. So
Excellent.
you could get a mailing and you can also get subscriptions, because there's situations where, say you own a lot, but you don't have a building there, but you want to know what's getting built next, or there's a request going on next door. You won't get a mailing for that because the mailman cannot, post person can't deliver anything, but you could get notice from just, it's monthly. We have monthly meetings, so it's 12 a year, so you can stay in touch, and we have a lot of interest from our community
Excellent.
for that.
So Be in the Know is active now? I
Yep, you
just
can go on
went
our
to the website.
webpage, just bettendorf.org.
Yeah.
And, well, I'll show you. And we've got also other news bulletins, which go up. But here we are, Be in the Know. So scroll down a little bit, and you can learn more. And this is the subscription page, so you can click here for the meeting agendas. You simply, as the steps, you enter your email, and then you can just select either email or text for city news, council agendas as well, Board of Adjustment packets, planning and zoning packets, and I believe they'll be adding more pages as the time goes on. So.
It may not be ready for phone yet.
No, it's here.
Oh, it's
Oh, it
ready.
is?
Yep.
I finally
You've
found
got
it.
So if you
Yeah.
were, for next month, if you subscribe today, when we will have a meeting, I believe. As soon as the agenda is posted, which is posted, we have our legal requirements. As soon as we get the agenda as ready to go, we will upload just the agenda, and you'll get a text notification or an email saying, hey, the agenda is posted. So at least know the case number and what it's about, but you won't get the full packet until we write the reports, and then we'll add the packet.
And then we can get the packet off the same thing.
Yep, and it's just the same. It's this webpage, which you'll see the agenda's posted right here, the packet. And then once the minutes are approved by this board, we post the minutes, and the video is also uploaded after this meeting as well to watch, so.
So what Angie and Taylor and Lisa and others have done is basically come up with a way to get our initial agenda published sooner and in more forms. The online form, the email form, the text message form. And so it's more ways to get it faster. And then your traditional ways that you're used to getting it, if you get it that way, you can still do that way too.
Yeah, historically, you would not, our practice was to upload the agenda and the packet on the Friday before the meeting, but unless you were to call in to us directly, or I don't know if there's another way. That was the only way to, prior to that Friday. So if there's a big project that, you know, that you have interest in, people plan vacations and, you know, take off work and everything. It's a 5 o'clock meeting. So this is, I think, a good step forward in doing that.
Yes, very good.
That's it.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you very
Pretty
much.
exciting.
With that, we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.